9 essential crops every gardener should plant. Most gardeners end up planting way too many different things, trying to squeeze every possible vegetable into their space. But here at Backyard Crops, we've learned something important over the years. There are 9 specific crops that deliver amazing results season after season, and we're going to walk you through each one. I'm Adam Groves, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which plants deserve a permanent spot in your garden and why they're absolute game changers. But before we jump in, do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell. Trust me, you'll want to catch every video we put out because we're constantly testing new varieties and sharing what actually works. And if you find this helpful, leave a comment letting me know which of these 9 crops you're most excited to try. Your input helps us create better content for everyone in the Backyard Crops community. Garlic, the long-term kitchen champion. Let me start with something you might not expect. Garlic. Yes, garlic. I'm serious about this one. When I look at this incredible harvest spread out in front of me, I'm reminded why garlic has earned its permanent place in my garden year after year. The thing about garlic is this: once you crack the code on growing it successfully in your specific climate, and yes, it might take a season or two to figure out the right varieties and techniques, you'll have an unstoppable crop on your hands. For us here at Backyard Crops, it took about 2 growing seasons to really nail down the perfect approach for our conditions. We experimented with different planting times, various types of garlic, and multiple growing methods. But once we figured it out, absolute magic. Garlic is one of those rare crops that keeps giving long after harvest. Unlike lettuce or tomatoes that need to be used quickly, garlic sits there patiently in your pantry, ready whenever you need it. We're talking months and months of storage. If you're growing hardneck varieties, you can expect them to stay fresh and usable for 3 to 4 solid months. Softneck garlic? Even better, 6 to 9 months of storage life. That's nearly a full year of homegrown garlic from one planting. And let's be honest, garlic goes into practically everything you cook. Pasta sauces, roasted vegetables, soups, stir-fries, marinades. I challenge you to go a week without using garlic in your kitchen. It's basically impossible. The preparation for storage couldn't be simpler. Let me show you with this beautiful head right here. After harvest, you let the bulbs cure for a few weeks in a dry, shaded area. Once they're cured, grab your harvested garlic and give the roots a quick trim. Just snip them close to the bulb base. Then, take your scissors or garden shears and cut off the neck, leaving about an inch or so above the bulb. If there's any dirt clinging to the papery outer layers, just brush it away gently, maybe peel off one layer if needed, and boom, you've got a picture-perfect head of garlic ready for the pantry. The flavor difference between store-bought and homegrown garlic is remarkable. Store garlic often comes from who knows where, shipped thousands of miles and sitting in warehouses for who knows how long. Your garden garlic? Fresh, potent, and packed with the kind of flavor that makes every dish better. We've put together a complete 3-part series here at Backyard Crops covering everything about growing garlic, from selecting the right varieties for your climate to planting techniques, troubleshooting common problems, and harvesting at the perfect time. I really encourage you to check those out if you're new to growing this crop. After several years of growing garlic and achieving consistent success, I can confidently say it deserves a spot in every single garden. If you're enjoying this so far, smash that like button. It really helps the YouTube algorithm share this video. The year-round powerhouse. Moving on to a crop that thrives in my climate, kale. Living here in the Pacific Northwest, we have absolutely perfect conditions for growing brassicas like kale. The cool, moist environment that some gardeners struggle with is actually ideal for these plants. Over the years, I've experimented with many different kale varieties. Some grew incredibly tall, some had curly leaves, some were more cold hardy than others. But one variety has won me over completely: dazzling blue kale. Let me show you why this variety is so special. First off, just look at these leaves. They're flat rather than curly, with beautiful blue-green coloring. But the real showstopper is this striking purple midrib running down the center of each leaf. That purple vein adds tremendous visual appeal, whether you're growing kale in a garden bed or tucking it into containers on a patio. It's functional and gorgeous at the same time. The flat leaf structure has a practical advantage that I really appreciate: pest management. With curly kale varieties, aphids love to hide deep in all those ruffled crevices, and spotting them becomes a real challenge. With dazzling blue's flat leaves, there's nowhere for aphids to hide. You can easily inspect both sides of the leaves, and if you do spot aphids, a strong blast from the garden hose is usually enough to knock them off. Problem solved. No chemicals needed. Kale is incredibly nutritious, packed with vitamins and minerals, and it's delicious in so many preparations. Sautéed with garlic, massaged into salads, blended into smoothies, or baked into crispy chips. Here's another tip I love sharing. Let your kale plants overwinter and grow into tall, substantial plants. In spring, they'll send up these beautiful yellow flower stalks that bees absolutely adore. And here's something many people don't know: those yellow kale flowers are completely edible. They have a mild, slightly peppery flavor that's lovely in salads or as a garnish. Growing kale gives you fresh greens almost year-round in many climates, and it's one of those crops that just keeps on giving. Harvest the outer leaves continuously, and the plant keeps producing new growth from the center.
Squash, the productive garden workhorse. Okay, I'll admit it. Squash is one of those vegetables that by late summer, you've got so much of it, you're literally leaving bags of zucchini on your neighbor's doorstep in the middle of the night. Every gardener knows this feeling. But hear me out, because I've found a squash variety that's genuinely worth growing, and it's called center-cut squash from row 7 seeds. This variety really stands out from typical squash. Let me harvest one and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Look at this beauty. You can grow and harvest center-cut squash at different stages. Right now, this one is at its summer squash stage, young, tender, and green. At this stage, it's absolutely perfect for eating. You can also let it continue growing and maturing, at which point it becomes more like a winter squash that you can store for months. The flavor is where center-cut really shines. Unlike many summer squashes that can be watery and bland, this variety has a dense, meaty texture and genuinely good flavor. The Italian tromboncino squash has that super long neck that's almost comical. Center-cut has a nice elongated shape, but it's more manageable and, in my opinion, tastier. The productivity is absolutely insane. As you can scan along this plant, you'll see baby squash forming everywhere. There must be dozens developing along the entire length of the vine. Actually, there's a bee right there pollinating one of the flowers as we speak, which is exactly what we want to see. Here's another benefit I want to point out. Squash plants can serve a dual purpose in your garden. See this arugula over here? It's starting to bolt and go to seed, which happens when temperatures rise. I'll need to cut it back soon. But notice how the large squash leaves are providing shade for these more delicate, heat-sensitive plants. Squash leaves create a natural canopy that filters light and reduces heat stress for plants growing underneath. During the summer months, arugula would normally struggle in full hot sun, but with the partial shade from these squash leaves, it can hang on a bit longer, giving me more harvests. The squash leaves let through enough light for growth, but block enough intensity to keep things cooler underneath. It's a fantastic example of companion planting, where both crops benefit. Center-cut squash has earned its place as my top pick in the squash category, and I think it would work great in your garden.
Flavorful heat with personality. The next crop on my essential list is hiding under this cover right here, and I'm excited to show you. It's the Bikinho pepper. These are also called little beak peppers because of their distinctive shape, and they're hugely popular in Brazil. We've been growing both yellow and red Bikinho varieties for quite a while now, and they've become one of our most beloved pepper types here at Backyard Crops. These peppers make an absolutely fantastic hot sauce with this rich, sweet, tropical flavor profile that also has some tartness and just the right amount of heat. The heat level is perfect for those of us who enjoy spice but don't want our mouths on fire. You can pop one of these peppers in your mouth and eat the whole thing raw. Yes, it definitely has a kick, you'll feel it, but it won't overwhelm you. It's that sweet spot where you can actually enjoy and appreciate the pepper's flavor instead of just feeling pain. That's the philosophy we follow when choosing peppers to grow. We love sweet peppers, and we love peppers with mild to moderate heat. Peppers where you can eat them whole and actually taste what you're eating, not just suffer through extreme spiciness. Let me remove this cover and show you the plant itself. Isn't it adorable? The Bikinho pepper plant is honestly charming with these dainty little leaves, tiny flowers, and small peppers. But don't let the small size fool you. Once this plant gets established and starts producing, it absolutely cranks out peppers. Think about it logically. A plant producing small peppers will give you way more individual fruits than one producing large bell peppers. This plant will be loaded with dozens and dozens of little peppers throughout the season. Compare this Bikinho leaf to this European pepper variety growing next to it. See the size difference? That's a standard large leaf pepper plant, and this is the Bikinho with its more delicate foliage. That compact growth habit is typical of this type of pepper. Here's another huge advantage. This pepper variety will continue producing well into our winter months. I'm talking November, December. I'll still be getting ripe, flavorful fruit when most other garden crops have shut down for the season. If you're in a coastal climate or anywhere with mild winters, the Bikinho pepper will keep delivering. These versatile peppers work in so many ways in the kitchen. Eat them fresh, pickle them, make hot sauce, cook them into dishes, roast them. Honestly, it's hard to find a preparation method that doesn't work. They're an absolute must-have. Before we continue, if you're getting value from this video, please share it with a friend who gardens or wants to start. Growing our Backyard Crops community helps everyone learn and improve together.
Vertical growing at its finest. This tall trellis structure behind me looks pretty empty right now, but very soon, both the front side and back side will be completely covered with pole beans climbing all the way to the top. Pole beans are one of my absolute favorite crops to grow because they're incredibly easy and unfussy. The plants are vigorous, productive, and training them up a tall structure like this creates a beautiful living wall in the garden. But beyond aesthetics, growing beans vertically makes harvesting so much simpler. Instead of bending over to pick beans at ground level, I can stand upright and harvest all these pods, hanging at a comfortable height. My back thanks me every single harvest. Here's a great tip. If you're not particular about specific bean varieties, choose ones with colorful pods, purple or golden yellow rather than green. Why? Because colorful pods are so much easier to spot against all that green foliage. You can see them instantly, which makes harvesting much faster and ensures you don't miss any beans hiding behind leaves. I have two favorite pole bean varieties that I rotate through. The first is Trionfo Violetto, a slender Italian variety with gorgeous purple pods. The flavor is wonderfully sweet. There's one quirk with these. When you cook them, the purple color disappears and they turn green. It's a little disappointing visually, but the excellent flavor remains whether you eat them raw or cooked. The second favorite is Gold Marie, a flatter Romano-style bean. These are incredibly sweet and crisp with a satisfying texture. Both varieties are prolific producers that keep giving all season long if you harvest regularly. There's another reason I love growing pole beans vertically.
all that organic matter built up at the top. At the end of the growing season, I used the chop and drop method. Instead of pulling out all these vines and hauling them away, I simply cut them down and let all those leaves and stems fall right onto the soil surface. That material acts as a natural mulch layer, protecting the bed as we move into winter. It suppresses weeds, retains moisture, and slowly breaks down, feeding the soil with nutrients and organic matter. By spring, much of it will have decomposed, improving soil structure and fertility. It's free mulch and free fertilizer in one. Growing pole beans vertically is efficient, productive, and soil-building all at once. It's garden magic.
Potatoes, maximum calories, minimum effort. I'm pretty sure nobody will be shocked to hear that potatoes are always going in my garden. I've grown potatoes in just about every method you can imagine. In bags, in trenches, in raised beds, in towers, in containers. You name it, I've tried it. Some of you might remember back in 2019 when I did the Apocalypse Survival Challenge and lived primarily on potatoes for an entire month. That experience really drove home how valuable this crop is. Potatoes hold a special place in my heart, but beyond nostalgia, they're simply one of the most practical crops you can grow. You will not find an easier-to-grow crop that delivers this much caloric density. That combination, easy growing plus serious food value, makes potatoes essential in my book. Let me show you my preferred planting method, which might seem a bit unusual. I use this power planter attachment that fits onto a standard drill. It's honestly a game changer for quick planting. You just position it where you want the potato, pull the trigger, and drill down into the soil, creating a perfect planting hole in seconds. Take a seed potato with the eyes sprouting, drop it into that hole, cover it with soil, and you're done. That's it. Barely water them throughout their entire growing life. Potatoes are surprisingly drought-tolerant once established. As soon as shoots appear above ground, the hard work is basically finished. Let me show you how fast this goes. Drill a hole, drop in a potato. That's future calories right there. Another hole, another potato. More calories. Hash browns, French fries, mashed potatoes, roasted potatoes. It genuinely is this straightforward. Throw some mulch on top if you want, though I often skip even that step. You can hill them up as they grow, which some people prefer, but honestly, I've found that burying them deep initially and then mostly ignoring them works incredibly well. We've created several videos here at Backyard Crops demonstrating different potato growing methods. Grow bags, in-ground planting, raised bed growing, and more. Practically all of them work, but my personal preference is this bury them deep and forget about them approach. You'll get an incredible harvest of potatoes from minimal effort and space. Plus, you'll probably discover surprise volunteer potatoes popping up the following year from ones you missed during harvest, which is always a fun bonus. For those three reasons, easy to grow, calorically dense, and incredibly productive, potatoes earn their permanent spot as my third essential crop.
Cherry tomatoes, reliable flavor in short seasons. While I'd love to grow massive beefsteak tomatoes where I live, the reality is that our growing season sometimes gets cut short by lingering cold springs or early fall frosts. So, cherry and currant-sized tomatoes are actually my best bet for reliable production. I have two cherry tomato varieties that are kind of tied for favorite, and they're actually quite similar: black cherry and chocolate cherry. Both varieties feature this dark brownish-red skin that's beautiful and distinctive. The flavor is where these really excel. They're sweet, smoky, and syrupy all at once. Seriously delicious. Popping these warm from the vine on a sunny afternoon is one of gardening's great pleasures.
What I especially love about these varieties is how the fruit develops on large trusses. Those are the branching stems that hold multiple tomatoes. This clustering makes it really easy to keep track of the fruit on the vine. You can see at a glance which trusses are ripe and which need more time. At the end of the season, when frost threatens, this truss structure becomes especially valuable. Instead of picking individual tomatoes and dealing with dozens of loose fruit, I can snip off entire trusses and bring them inside to ripen on the kitchen counter. It's much easier to manage a handful of trusses than hundreds of individual tomatoes. I also grow currant or wild tomatoes, which produce even smaller fruit. Yes, these plants get big and sprawly. They can become absolute monsters if you let them. But the fruit has such a unique, intense flavor that it's worth dealing with the vigorous growth. I've grown a variety called Cheese Mania, which produces lovely yellow currant tomatoes. This season, I'm trying something new, an heirloom Canadian variety called Petite Moynade. I'm curious to see how it performs and what the flavor profile is like. Cherry and currant tomatoes give me reliable harvests, even when the weather doesn't cooperate perfectly. They're quick to mature, prolific, and consistently flavorful.
Herbs. Daily kitchen magic. For my final selection, I'm going to cheat a little bit and say herbs, specifically a diverse collection of herbs. Right here in front of me is my herb bed, and it's genuinely one of the most valuable sections of my entire garden. In this bed, I'm growing pineapple sage, French tarragon, chives, thyme, green onions, cilantro, dill, parsley, regular sage, basil, and chamomile. That's quite a collection, and we use something from this bed almost every single day. If there's one thing you could do in your garden to completely transform the way you cook and eat at home, it's growing your own fresh herbs. The flavor difference is incredible. Homegrown herbs are so much more potent and aromatic than anything you'll find at the grocery store. Plus, buying herbs at the supermarket is weirdly expensive and usually disappointing. You pay several dollars for a plastic container, and half the herbs are already wilting or turning slimy. You end up throwing away a significant portion of what you bought. With a garden herb bed, you simply step outside and snip exactly what you need for that meal. No waste, maximum freshness, and the flavor is absolutely superior. I keep collecting more herb seeds because I love experimenting with new varieties. But if I had to recommend one herb that I think more people should try, it would be savory. Specifically, this is summer savory, and I'm personally fond of it because in Bulgaria, where part of my family is from, it's the primary seasoning herb used in traditional cooking. There's also winter savory, which is hardier and more cold tolerant. In my growing zone, winter savory is actually perennial, surviving year-round and providing fresh herbs even in the coldest months. Access to fresh herbs 12 months a year is pretty special. Don't underestimate the herb garden. If you haven't started one yet, make it happen. And if you're looking for something new to try, definitely give summer savory a shot.
Bonus pick, calendula. Before we wrap up, I want to give you one more bonus recommendation. Calendula. These bright, cheerful flowers are incredibly useful in multiple ways. In the garden, calendula attracts beneficial insects, adds beautiful pops of color, and can even help with pest management. In the kitchen, the petals are edible and can be used in salads, as garnishes, or brewed into tea. And here's something interesting. If you raise chickens, they love eating calendula petals, and it actually darkens and enriches the color of their egg yolks. It's a win all around. Wrapping up. So there you have it, 9 different crops that we absolutely love here at Backyard Crops and believe should be in every garden. These plants have proven themselves season after season, delivered great flavor, good yields, and reliable performance. Everyone's garden is different though, and I'd love to hear what you think. Did we miss something that's essential in your garden? What's your absolute must-grow crop that you wouldn't garden without? Drop a comment below and let the Backyard Crops community know. We're always learning from each other. And listen, if you got value from this video, do me 3 quick favors.
Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future content. Give us a thumbs up to help the algorithm, and share this with someone who might find it useful. Growing food is one of the most rewarding things anyone can do, and the more people growing, the better. I'm Adam Grove, and until next time, good luck in the garden and keep on growing. We'll see you in the next video.